without further ado, we're going to bring in James Norton and Ed Gamble. So we start with our celeb couple. I don't know. Do I need to? Is there some sort of special signal I need to give to them, or are they waiting? Hello.
We were just having a chat and we missed our cue.
So, as is typical with James, who's been here before, and Ed, I've known for some years, they have been fantastic role models for their background of type 1 diabetes. And it's important for a lot of people in the audience to see, you will have the extremes. We have people walking the, Arctic Circle and all that sort of stuff. You also people living with diabetes, and you've got all these superstar celebs as well amongst our midst. So, but also in typical style, before this session started, I walked up to James and said, James, so what are we doing? And he said, don't know, what are we doing? So we're going to turn this into a bit of a chat. We're going to take some questions from the audience, etc. But I just wonder whether you just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about yourselves before we sort of delve into questions. We'll start with Ed, because James, I think they've all heard about you too many times. So, Ed.
Hello, Ed Gamble. I'm a comedian mainly, and I exploit my type 1 diabetes for monetary gain through material. Lots of people thank me for talking about type 1 diabetes in the public arena, but the truth is I run out of jokes and I have to start really mining my actual life. And turns out you can get about 20 minutes a show out of just explaining to everyone else what type 1 diabetes is, because people don't know. So yeah, that's me really. I just chat about it a lot.
What's your best diabetic joke?
My best diabetic joke? I mean, if I do it here, it won't work. These people know too much about it. Yeah, it's the thickos who've got no idea who lap it up.
Sure. Are there any diabetic jokes? No, it can't be. I don't have any at all.
It's mainly like stories about it and how people react to it, and about the sort of ignorance of it really that I get the most material from. But now I've really, well, I tell you why. A couple of shows ago, I was doing a tour about how when I went to New York with some friends, and who were all comedians, and there was a big snowstorm, and we got grounded. It was very slow news day on the BBC. So there was a BBC News story about 4 comedians who were stuck in New York. And in the little description of all the comedians, I was called diabetic comedian. So that basically started that show, was me getting really angry about that.
Yeah. That's interesting.
James, you been up to anything recently?
Have I been up to anything? I'm doing a play right now, which is quite interesting for my diabetes, because I'm on stage every night at the moment for about 4 hours, and I don't leave the stage at all apart from the interval. So it's as you guys know, as type 1s, it's quite a picnic, trying to get through that with the adrenaline highs, and I'm trying to surreptitiously find moments where I can kind of look up stage and jab or eat, and yeah, I have my sensor in my pocket. My Dexcom is buzzing away, and I'm trying to concentrate. It's very cool. I mean, we're 4 shows in. We've had one show where I had to stop. The stage management came on, very excited, because they have my phone on the side so they can see, and they didn't know the numbers. I'd spent about an hour trying to explain to them that, this arrow means this arrow means this. But as soon as it got to the red, urgent low, and I was like I was coming up from a low, and I was going to be fine, and I had 10 minutes to go before the interval, and ironically I was having a really great moment. I was kind of, sweating, crying, all emotional, and then I get a tap on the shoulder, and someone in full black goes, "I'm sorry, but you're urgent low. I don't know what it means, but you need to stop." And yeah, that happened. So now we're trying to find ways of not stopping the show. But yeah, it's really interesting, and it's been a massive challenge, but at the moment it's going all right. We only have about 4.5 months of shows left, so let's see how we go. But yeah, that's what I'm up to at the moment.
Okay, so Ed, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about, whatever you can share. When were you diagnosed, and how's it been the journey so far? I mean, you are obviously here where you are.
Yes.
And how's the journey been since?
I was diagnosed when I was 13. I was very lucky with my diagnosis in terms of how we found out, because my mum was a nurse for many years, so she spotted the symptoms before anything got too bad. So I didn't have that sort of diagnosis origin story like a lot of people do. I just went to the GP and did some tests and the GP told me. So I was very lucky in that sense. And then I think pretty good with the diabetes when I was sort of 13 to 15, because basically my mum looked after it for me, and I just did what I was told. And then from the ages of 15 to 21, I just took my own path. The bare minimum, I would say, to keep me alive, just huge injections, loads of food, loads of booze, smoking, all of that really fun stuff that I miss. But diabetically, completely out of control, I would say. And then I got on top of that after I graduated from university. And I think I'm a little bit better now after going through the old rigmarole of panicking for a while that it wasn't perfect all of the time. And now I've sort of managed to let go of that a little bit and just take it day by day.
So it reminds me of a conversation I had with James about the information we give sometimes, and what we're trying to say is how perfect it should be all the time. So James, I don't know whether you wanted to touch upon that.
Have you had a chat? Have you had a coffee with Partha?
No, never had a coffee with Partha.
It is one of the most special things for a diabetic. Really. In general, it's a very special experience. But for a diabetic, it genuinely is really lovely, because it just does what you just said, that process of kind of letting go of the perfection thing, and coming out of your younger years where you sort of have these kind of memories of chaos, and then you feel like you need to remedy all of that and make up for that time, and just hitting the ranges, and I'm just going to regurgitate what you said, but how the risk factors kind of fall off a cliff if you're sort of 50% in range, and then it's 60, and all the kind of incremental improvements to the lessening of risk as you hit the ranges. Basically, you just put me at, and maybe you were lying to me, maybe you were just saying it. I felt great, and I still occasionally refer back. I do all the time refer back to that coffee, because it was like a therapy session. He just took the very, very aggressive voice in my head going, every time you're out of range, you're killing yourself, and you must sort that out, and just took that voice and put it aside and said, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And you two know each other for some time, is that right?
Yeah, so that period I was referring to, where I was just drinking and smoking and ignoring my diabetes, was probably when I met you, right? Yeah. We did some of that stuff together.
We met in a pub with a beer and a fan.
Yeah. But you weren't diabetic at the time.
No, my sister was.
Yeah.
So I spoke to Ed. I remember we had a very similar group of friends, two different universities, but there was a kind of crossover in like theatre and comedy, and my sister had been diagnosed, and I asked you, I think, we spoke about it. But you
you probably go, so how is it controlling it? Yeah, it's fine, mate. I don't even think about it.
Yeah. But I think, and then I reported back to my sis, being like, it's fine, don't worry, I met this great guy. No, we met when we were about 19, 20. But and then since then, sort of busy lives, seen you do amazing things, like run the marathon, which is very impressive.
Twice, please.
Twice, really?
Twice, impressive. Yeah. Bit slower the second time, so we think about the first one mainly, yeah. We should have a beer, because I am interested, because our lives are similar, I imagine, in the sense that there's no schedule, there's no routine. Sometimes you find yourself in somewhere where there's no food, and you have to like make do with some horrible carby, white carb thing, and then also we were talking just outside about adrenaline and how it affects different people, and the spikes and all that stuff. So it is hard, I think, as... Yeah, I mean, I very rarely have low blood sugar on stage, just because adrenaline really hypes me up. It depends what I'm doing, but mainly I'll come off stage slightly. So I used to, when I was driving around doing gigs, I would, have a big spike when I went on stage, and then I'd come off stage and have to drive home. and I'd just leave it where it was, and it would just go straight down. So there was always that danger. Like even if I came off stage and it was like 11 or 12, I'd learned when I got in the car, I had to have a snack anyway because I knew it was just gonna, it was gonna come down quite rapidly. Yeah.
But do you have a routine of going on stage? Do you have like the pre and during? Do you have the sense?
I have that with me, or it's off at the side with my tour manager. But I think he doesn't know what. Like, your phone was buzzing when you were on stage. I was like, yeah. But what's he gonna do? He's a very timid man. He's not gonna run on or come on the offstage mic and go, "You got to get off now, Ed." But also, I'm not doing 4-hour performances like you are. I'm
80
doing
minutes is still...
80 minutes maximum. Yeah.
But that's enough to, you know.
Yeah, totally. So I make sure I eat more than 2 hours before. So I know that there's not much insulin in the system that's going to cause any havoc, and eat fairly sort of. I mean, it's Nando's. It's not only as a diabetic, as a comedian travelling the country, it's the only reliable chain, guys, and you can quite read that.
Okay, let's throw some questions out to the audience. So you got a chance to ask questions to Ed and James. Don't make it personal.
I'll answer any questions about Happy Valley you want.
All right, we'll start from lady. You go first.
I'm just curious, from what you are saying, you are on MDI, and both of you, if I'm not wrong, and because you have quite in the eye of everybody when you're on stage in particular, having a pump is not something that you are considering?
I should have prepped you. These guys are way more advanced in their...
Sure.
Yeah, they're you know, tech, mindful, and you'll come out of here and they'll beaten you around the head. So why are you not on a pump?
I mean, I've considered it. I think I'm always slightly put off by the tube situation. I know. You're not going to get me on this. So yes, that's what I would want if it were I to be on a pump. But then, also, I've sort of been stung slightly in the past, not in the last few years, but when I was thinking about getting a pump and going to the hospital and talking to them about that, very quickly told that I wouldn't get one because I was too sort of in range. I was controlling it too well. So that sort of thing tends to last in the old brain if you don't particularly want to go back and see those people again if they're telling you, well, you can't have this thing that's going to increase your control because you're too controlled. So yeah, I've been stung by that in the past and probably haven't tried recently, to be honest, and got sort of settled into the MDO.
Okay, next question. I think we had one in line here, and then we'll go there. Yep, go for it.
So my question is, have you ever been in that position
Have you ever been in that position on stage where, like you're having a hypo, but then your words go completely, and you have that like, I have no idea what to say, and I'm just going to make it as part of the act, and then you realise that like, okay, that was a really wrong choice.
I didn't see Happy Valley, but I thought that was part of it.
Very good. Your question terrifies me because, touch wood, no, but this particular show is the most scary thing I've ever done in my life, and I spend most of it without any clothes on, and like it's the most. I don't know if you've ever read a book called A Little Life, but it's very, very brutal and very, very harrowing, and I'm the kind of through line, and so people kind of come onto the train with me and then get off it and on it and off it. So if I have a hypo, the whole thing falls apart, and it's hard. I think it's easier probably in a comedy set to sort of go, oh, I'm feeling a bit, and make something out of that. When you're lying in a pool of blood being beaten and raped, it's hard to go, wait, 1 second, sorry, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm terrified right now, and that's why I'm being really trying to be as diligent as I can. The other day, I was having a great show. I was feeling, I was saying that I was in that kind of weird hinterland where I was sort of slightly out of full sharp consciousness, but I wasn't in what you're describing, and it was kind of perfect for that sort of, consciousness shift in the performance sense, because I was like, I'm in this role and I'm fully left James and I'm feeling amazing, and then I get the tap on the shoulder saying you're hypoing. So Let's see, but touch wood, no.
Okay, next one, just down there.
It's a question for Ed. I've got 2 children with type 1. One's on a pump, one's MDI. I hear you've done Celebrity Hunted. How did you manage that? How was it?
It was. I mean, I've got a Dexcom which really helps with Hunted. If any of you are thinking of doing it. It was a lot of fun, thank you, but it was quite stressful at times. So there was a lot of adrenaline pumping and then a lot of running around as well. So it was sort of
loads of supplies.
Yeah, I was carrying loads of supplies and there was a bit of sort of swooping levels going on. But you know, we got through. I'm not going to say if we got hunted or not, but it was a lot of fun. But also, and it was like roasting hot as well. So there was
limited with food as well, aren't you? And money.
Yeah, but I think also because it's Channel 4 and we were doing it for charity, I don't think. If I'd said, I need some food because I have a medical condition, they would have gone, not in the rules. So it was fine, yeah. We were looked after, which was good, but yeah.
Okay, question on this side, Deborah.
Hi guys, can I ask you, how do you carb count on Great British Menu?
Well, carb counting's a big phrase for what I do on Great British Menu. So I have done a sort of Daphne equivalent course years ago, so you know, got the grounding in how to carb count, and I consider myself a bit of a wizard of it now. So with Great British Menu, the good thing about Great British Menu, which is a cooking show I judge on in case people haven't seen it, and to give you an idea of how much food, every Friday for 2 months, we go and judge 2 chefs who are doing a 5-course meal. So we have 10 courses in a day, start at 9:30 in the morning, finish at 5 in the afternoon. And I'm told you don't need to eat all of it, you just need to taste it to see if it's good. And I do eat all of it. And then we have finals week, which is 4 days in a row, which is the 8 final chefs. And it's 8 starters on Tuesday, 8 fish dishes on Wednesday, 8 mains on Thursday, and 8 desserts on Friday. And that Friday is mad. Like, I don't know who I am by the end of that Friday. But the good thing about the majority of the dishes on Great British Menu is because it's fine dining, they're not particularly carb heavy. So it's a lot of proteins and a lot of, you know, rich fats and things. So I still need to watch out for that later on in the day. But what's good about it is they're not like piling on potatoes and stuff. So it's not too bad.
Okay, any other questions? 1, 2, 3. We'll go for that lady in the middle.
This is a question for James. In the final episode of Happy Valley, when just before.
Oh, hang on, who's seen it?
Spoiler. Spoiler alert. Cover your ears.
Genuine.
Really, this is about diabetes.
Okay, yeah.
Just before you set yourself a fast.
Whoa!
Sorry. What were you drinking? Because the only thing that was going through my mind was, oh, is this affecting his levels? Because I was thinking, is it something with some dye-in, so it's not really like apple juice or something?
It's always a little bit of a conversation in that because often, like for example, the show at the moment, someone opens a bottle of wine. And the wine is shared around. It's like a no secco thing, and that's sugary, obviously. So I have to have a drink of that, and so it's kind of complicated because they all need to have their. We just need to have a sugary drink for them. But usually, if it's just me, like that show, they just do water with a tiny bit of food colouring, and then it becomes whiskey or whatever it might be. I did do one show. Did you ever see Posh?
I didn't see it, but yeah, no.
I did a play.
I don't like plays.
No, it's fine. Because you know, I feel like you know a lot of that cast. I did a play and we were drinking red wine, and the other guys were drinking masses and masses of grape juice, and then I had Diet Coke, and within about 3 weeks they all had stomach ulcers because they were drinking so much. So they all moved over to the Diet Coke. But yeah, no, it's just a constant conversation with the prop department, but it's pretty easy to manage.
What is this Happy Valley?
Is this Happy Valley?
I mean, listen, most people are watching it because they want to watch you. If I want to do that, I get a coffee. But does it actually have a storyline?
Have you not seen it? Oh, right.
Well, from the title, you can. It's cheery. It's fun.
Yeah.
Comedy.
It's yeah. Comedy, yeah.
We had a dish last year in the Great British Menu themed on Happy Valley.
No, did you?
Yeah. And it came in, they played the theme tune and put it down in front of us. I was like, it's like a police line, do not cross across some lamb. I was like, this feels misjudged.
Right, a question in the corner. Yeah.
Hi, I'm currently studying theatre at the Brit School, so I just want to ask, like, one of my biggest fears is, like, when I'm doing a show, like, how do I explain to other people what to do if something goes wrong with me personally with my diabetes? So do you have, like, any tips on how to make that conversation, basically?
I would say in any workspace it's sort of the same, but in theatre and film it's just important that you don't have to sort of get everyone together at the beginning of the thing and go, everyone, because that suddenly makes a big thing of it. It's the people who you need to find the people who are in control and just have quiet conversations, I think. I mean, look, you can, if you want, get everyone together, but I would say, like on a film set, I find the ADs and the director and the camera and the sort of the heads of the departments and just say to them, listen, this is the situation. If I need to walk off set or wherever I start eating, someone needs some sugar. Sorry, I shouldn't have shaming you.
Get out!
Sorry. Yeah, you just speak to people and just say, listen, this is, if I start eating, this is the reason. Or if I need to take 5 minutes just to kind of let myself get my balance back, then any person in any workspace who's going to take an issue with that, that's criminal. I mean, so you just have to be really honest and confident, I think, and just own it. I mean, it's not, you've not done anything wrong. And actually, generally, in theatre particularly, what I'm experiencing right now is the stage management team, it's weird, but they kind of love it because they get really involved. You know, every night I give my phone over to one of the stage management, the DSMs, and then they put it there, and they're all learning about the numbers. And you know, if I have, say, for example, I need someone to bring me on a sugar tablet or whatever, they love that because that's their, like, you know, suddenly it's they're in their mode and their kind of damage control and all that stuff. So in a way they thrive, and anyone who is bored or rolls an eye or whatever, they can do one, in my opinion.
Also, the chances are there'll be people there who have had experience, whether with friends or family, so there will be people with a bit of shared language about it that you can chat to about it as well, so yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take one more question because of the day. Let's go for the lady here. But she oh,
this lady over here as well.
All right, let's go. We'll take two. We'll go back to you. We will go back to you, definitely. Let's do this.
Hi, James. Did you have a hypo cycling up that hill?
No.
Sorry, is this another of that?
Yeah. No, but I did. It was a really big hill. And I did say to them that the thing was driving too slowly in front of me, and I wanted to feel like desperately tired. So yeah, but no, I've had a few hypos on film sets. And thank you, thank you.
See, there you go again.
There you go.
I don't think they're watching it for the. Right, last question, please, up there.
Bob, thank you. Guys, I just wanted to ask, what would you tell somebody who is newly diagnosed, frightened, because we have a WhatsApp group, and there's a couple of people in there who, you know, feel quite lost, and I think that's quite common with diabetes. You feel lost, embarrassed, all of the things that you shouldn't, and it's really tough. From your experiences, you know, you've both done great things. What would you tell someone who'd just been diagnosed?
Big question.
Both of you looking at each other, so who's going to go?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky because you do have to sort of stress the impact that it will have on your life, but then also stress the fact that impact will become a background one after a while. So it will be something that's with you for a long time. But also, I try and sort of sometimes stress some positives to it. It's certainly, I think, because I used to be very unhealthy, like I say, and I was a lot bigger and I really wasn't looking after myself. But I think being diabetic actually taught me a way of being more conscious of what I was putting into my body and how I was treating myself and my lifestyle. So I actually think it's been a massive positive for me as well. And then also what I was saying about perfection, I think you stress that so much to yourself when you're diabetic, and then what you actually need to do is let go of that and take it day by day. So I think it's more about that eventually controlling diabetes becomes a totally natural thing to do. And although it can be annoying and some days it can throw up, really, finicky little things that you have to deal with, it mainly sort of sits in the background and becomes part of your daily routine.
Yeah. And I would say being lonely with it it's ironic considering we're in a room full of type 1s right now, so it's kind of lovely. And that it also goes to show how much of a community there is if you want to get a part of that community, and that sounds like the WhatsApp group is already a step towards that. And if you're not, I'm lucky because my mum, not lucky, but my mum and my sister both have diabetes, type 1. So every time I go home, it's on the menu. We chat away and we compare ranges, and so I've never felt particularly isolated. But when I'm in London and I haven't seen my family, I also am a bit like what you were saying, the lady over there about the Brit school, is I do talk about it all the time, and I never ever take it away from my friends. I'll sit on the tube and I do it as openly as I would drink a glass of water, and slowly over time the people in your life just get used to it as well, and they might, it's part of the conversation. So that kind of isolation, I guess, is mitigated against. What would I say to a young diabetic? I mean, yeah, as Ed says, it's one of those things which, in the first instance, feels insurmountable and very scary, and you inevitably go through certain thought processes about what this will do in the longer term, and the mental health aspect of it is really important. I think parents as well. That's really, I know I say that a lot, but it's really important for the parents of diabetics to ask themselves what they are doing to their children and not being overly anxious, and that can often be almost as damaging as if a parent is saying, well, I don't think you should go traveling, and I don't think you should be doing this, and I don't think you should be doing that. Well, that's more limiting than the actual condition. So that's something which a conversation should be had. But yeah, I would say to them, it's going to be fine ultimately. And as Ed said, there are weird positives. I've had this, and I've said this in this room before, but I've definitely felt this kind of connection with people who have something. People talked about diabetes and they go, oh, I'm celiac, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and you go, oh, cool, and you find that actually lots of people have lots of different things, and as a diabetic, you're just equipped to empathize a bit more with that.
And I probably will add something to that. I think there's a big role here, not just of the peer support, which both of you are alluding to. I think clinicians have got a big role in here, and I say that publicly, and there are many clinicians in the audience who I'm pretty sure share the same value. It is not about scaring people, even though it might come from a place of concern as a clinician that you should do better. I think you don't live their shoes. You're not in their shoes. You don't have type 1 diabetes. So I think it's important that clinicians also take that message across, that support, and it will be okay, and there's many people, and trying to help you is part of the journey. So I think there's a mixed, the whole community as a whole needs to have that message, rather than you haven't checked your blood glucose 8 times a day and thereby you must be a sinner. That sort of thing.
Honestly, I was joking, but the coffee I had with was so valuable. You've got to do it. It's amazing.
Well, I'm waiting for the invite, James. Right?
Do you know what is really good? Technically, my boss is in the audience and he's listening to all this.
Okay,
Jonathan, just you're listening to all this, right? All right, I'm going to end this here, so we're going to have the day. But I just wanted to say that both of you, I really, really appreciate, on a Saturday, giving your time up. And James has got to go for the rehearsal of his play that he's doing, and family time, etc. So I think on behalf of everybody, a massive thank you to you for all of this.